Welcome back. It's an exciting week in the studio this week, and that is because I've had two important deliveries. The first one is a test pressing, my latest final release. I've had the copy through to check before the full pressing is delivered. So that's very exciting. I'm going to dive into that later and share a little bit more about that process and what it means and everything else. I'll get back to that later in the video. For those of you that watched last week's video, you will know and remember that I mentioned about needing a hi-hat, right? And I was keeping an eye out. Well, I bought one and it arrived this week, which now means that I can be recording drums and start achieving that live feel and bring to life that vision I've got for this album and these tracks, which I'm really excited about. It brings its own challenges, but I can dive into that a little bit later on as well. So, good things are going on this week, progressing in many ways, little celebrations and also some good fun to be had. At the start of the week, I come up with a new idea on the guitar that I'd been playing around with and I decided to record that. I'll cut to some of those clips now. It was a simple riff, quite rocky, that I played on electric guitar. That I then layered up with two more layers. The other one was like a second riff that went over the top. That I really liked the way it felt and the way that sounded together. And then I added some like higher chords as well over the top. It was 3 layers of electric guitars. As soon as I'd done it and I was listening to it, I thought, oh, I like this. This is going to be a special one, proper up my street. It's the taste that I like. So then I had the arrival of the hi-hat, the missing piece of the acoustic drums, of me collecting these drums over the last few months or whatever. I've now got the missing piece. I've got everything that I need to play some nice rock drums or at least achieve that sound. Up until now, I've been tapping my leg with a brush and using tambourines and everything else to compensate not having a hi-hat. This is going to make the world of difference now that I've got that with the kit to do some drums. So this week I've been working on that. The day the hi-hat arrived, I set the kit up and started having to play around. But although it was good fun, one, did I realise that I need to practice more and get better at drums, because that's one thing as well. I'm no drummer, so I need to tighten up and get some practice in for these tracks, so that they not only sound right when I record them, but also that they're played well, right? And part of the challenge is recording them well enough so they sound good enough for this album, whilst doing it all in this room. But of course, more importantly, I need to be playing them well, right? So that I can do the right beats and the right rhythms and make them feel nice. Not all the tracks need complicated things, so that's why I feel like I can get by with just doing it myself, and that's part of the fun. But it is also good fun to be on the drums again and get back to that. It's been many years since I've had the pleasure of using a drum kit. It was when I was at college, I'd jump on drums every now and then in the practice rooms in between lessons and stuff like that, but only to mess around. I've never done drumming myself, and as I said, I'm far from a drummer. There's levels to this stuff, right? With drums, it can look like you know what you're doing and you're getting by, and sure, I can do that, but there's definitely levels to it, and I know some really good drummers who are pros, and that shines through, right? So although I had fun that night, that first night of having the hi-hat, when I listened back to the recording, I could tell that they weren't being recorded right. The mic placement was wrong, the balance was wrong, and again, that was the first sign of like, right, yeah, this is going to be quite a challenge, right? I need to put some time into actually miking up the drum kit properly, rather than being slapdash and just miking it and getting underway into the fun stuff. And part of this album and this whole process is that I want to be diving into all this stuff that I've not dived into before, right? So taking the time and the effort to learn and mic the drum kit properly is going to be very important for me achieving the sound that I want, right? Rather than being lazy and cutting corners, as I just said. So the next day, I having known that and realised that the placement wasn't right, I just tested it, right? I tested the hi-hat and actually done a proper mic check, which I should have done the first time round. I don't know what I was thinking by just placing the mic and getting by. So I just wanted to do some tests and see what was what, right? And see if I could get the placement a bit better, a bit more accurate, so I could get a genuine good recording for me then to later mix and everything else. So I put some time into that, just testing the hi-hat, testing the snare, just making some slight changes. This is the fascinating thing, right? I didn't change a lot, yet the audio quality and the recording quality that I got by putting in that time to actually mic up the drum kit properly made the world of difference. So that was good and worth experimenting. And then I dived in to do some takes properly, right? Having now achieved the recording quality that I was happy with, I then dived in and done some takes, which I'll cut to that now. You'll hear that I also added a bass line in between. Once I started recording the drums, I thought, I'm gonna add some bass to fill this out. So I'm gonna cut to the drums now, right? I'm gonna give you a little snippet of the demo of the song I've been working on this weekend, this week. Those three guitars, the bass line and the drum recordings that I've done so far. This is the song I've been working on this week in its demo form, yet to have any lyrics recorded. So the track's very simple. The track that I'm working on this week is very, very simple at the moment. Just those three guitar layers, a bass line, and now these drums that I've recorded. But it's quite straight up. I like it. It's nostalgic and one that I feel is going to be quite special. So I'm definitely going to not rush this one, and I'm going to put the time into really making sure that I write the right lyrics and sing it in the right way for it to be what I feel the track can be. I feel this one's got good potential and definitely one that I want to be on the album. So I'm not going to rush this one, however long it takes. And this is another thing I've been realizing, right, doing these videos but also recording this album, is that I can't rush. There really is no rush, right? This is all about me just diving into all the nitty-gritties of a sound that I've yet to explore fully to the depths, and to do that, there can't be a rush. I've got to feel like I've got that time. There's no time limit on it. There's no deadline for me to really just dive in and get the best out of what I can do, right? And keep exploring. Even track selection, what makes it onto the album, you know, picking the best ones, picking the ones that I feel like really sum up what this album is and what I want it to be, and that's going to take time. So that's one thing I'm telling myself sometimes, because doing the videos, it can feel like I want to do a track a week and everything else, which is enough time to do one, but to actually get them good and sit with lyrics and experiment and try harder and try better rather than just accepting the first things that come is a whole other thing, right? And as well as everything else that I'm doing in my week, I'm not just focused on this album, right? Everything else in my life is carrying on, other projects and whatever else. So I'm cutting myself some slack there and accepting that this is how I want it to be. I don't want it to be rushed. I don't want these tracks to be rushed, and for the tracks and the ideas to flourish and get what they deserve, right? Get the amount of time to breathe and the fresh ears and everything else for me then to go back in and really turn them into what I feel that they can be. And that's vocal recordings, that's lyrically, that's just the whole general song, right? The structure of the song, instrumentation, making sure that I'm really experimenting and pushing it rather than, as I said, just accepting the first things that come. And yeah, it's a track, but is it what I want it to be, and have I explored it as much as I can? And that's part of the commitment of me doing this project, is diving that deep into it. So that's another thing that's come up for me this week. There is no rush, you know, and part of the fun is this journey. I'm really in no rush to finish this album, but I want to document as much of it as I can and learn as much as I can as well, and make sure that I'm diving into fully pushing myself in it, right? I mentioned just now that I've got some friends that are really good drummers, professional drummers. It's their job. They're in very good bands, and they're very good drummers. And one of them in particular I've known from a very young age. I went to school with him. He's a great guy, great drummer. And he saw that clip that you've just watched of me drumming, and he instantly gave me some great pointers, which I was very grateful for. When I posted it, I knew that he would see it, and I kind of hoped that he would have some suggestions for me. So when I got his message, I was very, very pleased about that. He mentioned about that I'm using my arms a lot, and that it should be more in the wrist action. He also mentioned to be careful not to get injuries in that from the wrong technique, which is very interesting, right? I'm like slapping the drums, going quite hard and everything else, lots of arm movement. He said my palm should be facing down. So this is good to have these pointers to when I'm practicing, but also when I'm recording drums for these songs, to actually now get my technique a bit better. He's very good, so I'm grateful for him for reaching out and giving me those pointers, coming from someone that truly is a pro and has drummed all their life, and it shows. He's an incredible drummer. Today's an exciting day in the studio, and that is because it's not every day that a test pressing arrives. For those of you that don't know, a test pressing is an important part of the process when you're getting a vinyl record released, right? When you're pressing a vinyl record or a batch of vinyl records, the test pressing is an opportunity for the record label and the artist and everyone involved in that record to double check that everything's fine, right? Because unlike digital music, where you know how it's going to sound when it's done, there's some nuances and things that are different when releasing onto vinyl records, and the test pressing is that opportunity just to make sure it sounds okay, the record plays okay, and it's the record's the right weight and all these sorts of things, so that you can then give the go ahead to the pressing plant to say yes, press however many of those. That's the version we're going with, right? So I've just been sent through, it's just arrived from the record label, the test pressing for my next release, which is actually a project that I run with a friend of mine. We have a dance, electronic, underground, house, techno project that we've been running for the last five years or so, and this is our second record, which is exciting. And the day has come to receive the test pressing and do the checks to make sure everything sounds okay. And I'm excited to listen. I'm going to open it now. I'm going to go over this way from the bottom. Having your music to hold is actually quite rare these days, right? It wasn't long ago, right, at the back end of my teens, it was a dream of mine, or something I always wondered, would the day come where I was having my own music on vinyl? I was going to all these underground house parties, like house music parties, and so much of the music was being played on records, right? The DJs were playing their music on records and loved collecting records and everything else. It was a big part of the culture, a big part of the scene was the mystery behind where the music's coming from and that collection of records and digging music. And I always wondered, I'd stand at the back of these parties and wondered if I'd ever get to that point where my music was also pressed on vinyl. So to be where I'm at now, right, the only reason I'm saying this is because it was a distant dream or a distant goal that felt very far and a lot to achieve just a matter of maybe 4 or 5 years ago. So to now be in a position where I've got test pressings arriving, I can look on the wall and see a few more of my records, just goes to show the only reason I'm saying this is that if you've got a goal, if you've got a dream, right, if you're consistent and you love it enough and you keep working and keep tapping away slowly, these days do come, right? You do achieve those dreams. And as I said, I can take these moments now to reflect and think, wow, yeah, I have to recognize that these were dreams of mine, right? To have days like today where records were turning up that had my music on them and being purchased by record shops and orders coming in and everything else for the record shops to press them around UK and Europe. So to keep working on your dreams, right? These passion projects that you love, these little goals that you have inside, they're worth following as long as you're consistent and you're in love with that process, because sooner or later, it might be years down the line, but you'll look back and recognize that you are actually now in that position that you always wondered if you could be, and that's worth celebrating. So that's the only reason I'm sharing this part of the process, is for those that are watching, keep going, keep following those dreams, because it is possible. It might take some work, it might take some dedication and some consistency, but that's worth it. Fall in love with that process and enjoy that journey, and then you can look back and see how far you've come and how much by doing these things each day and showing up consistently you've got closer to those dreams, and now those dreams are a part of your norm, which is very exciting and cool that as humans we do that, right? We keep tapping away at things. So here we are. Here's a test pressing, some doodles, some stickers. Dear Rye, thanks for the music, pleasure working with you, peace and love. And then the name of the record label. There we go. So I'm going to go and listen to this and make sure everything's all right. So as I said, they don't press them with, it's an opportunity to not press it with any artwork. Although I know that the stickers and everything have been made for this release, the test pressings, they don't have them on, right? They just keep them as a white label. The record label will put their sticker on there. There's an opportunity for the music and the record, the weight of everything, and to make sure it plays right, to be tested and double checked just before doubling down and pressing hundreds of the pressing that could ultimately be wrong. It's cool. I've had some good feedback already for this release, even though it's not out yet. Some DJs have already been playing it at festivals through having a test pressing or a dub plate version of it for promo. And just to test the waters to see if the release comes through. The record label said this week that they're getting great feedback, and already some orders are being placed by record shops and everything else to stock the record for when it's actually pressed and released, which is really exciting. A very fun process, and as I said, I think because these things take longer than just releasing on digital, it's feels more rewarding, you know, when you're waiting and to then get to a day like today where you can actually hold the record itself and then go and play it and listen to it and watch the grooves, watch the needle move along, and have music that I made in this room with this very setup now be pressed on record and be distributed around Europe and around the world. Nice wholesome moments. And it's going to be even cooler to see it when it has got the legit sticker on it and everything else, right? The legit artwork. I wanted to share that process because, as I said, it's not every day that you have records arriving in the studio. So when they do come, it's worth celebrating. Cheers. In broad daylight, but what's that mean?